is Jim Craner, and I'm a consultant with the Gleasia Group, and we're a library technology firm based in California, although I'm here in Illinois. And I have a really cool job. I get to build websites and applications and databases for public libraries across the United States. And several years ago, we were approached by the California Library Association, CLA, to build an open source summer readings application that any library could download and use and customize to meet their needs. So we worked on that project, and it's called BookPoints. And what you're looking at now on the screen is the BookPoints website. And again, I want to stress this is open source software. There's a download button right here on the menu, and any library that wants to can download BookPoints themselves and run it on their own web server. And because we're trying to build a community, we also offer a sliding scale affordable hosting program for libraries that don't have their own web server and can't install and run BookPoints themselves. So again, BookPoints is open source, and we're trying to build a community of libraries that are working together to improve this software and make it better every year. And that's why I always like to start off these presentations by showing you the BookPoints website and emphasizing that we're trying to build a community here. So for instance, one of the best examples of that is our gallery of digital badges. BookPoints software allows readers throughout the summer to earn various prizes and rewards for achieving their summer reading goals. One of those is the concept of a digital badge. And these sort of look like little stickers in a sticker album. And readers of all ages can collect these as they progress through the summer reading program. Now, some of our libraries that participate in BookPoints actually have graphic designers on staff, and they make really cool custom badges suitable for their summer programs. And then they've shared these badges back to the community. In addition, if your library is an iRead library, the iRead program collaborates with us every year and releases iRead graphics for use in BookPoints. So headers, digital badges, and other graphics, etc. So again, I want to stress that we're trying to build a community of libraries. We're not trying to just be a vendor offering software. We're trying to build a community of libraries that all use this software for their various summer reading programs. So I encourage you to take a look at our website. Again, we have our documentation, badges, training materials, etc. on here that you can take a look at. And if you have any questions about the website or about the software as we go through today, please put those in the chat room. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat as well as I can. And feel free to jump in there if there's something you want to take a closer look at or look at in greater detail. So let's go ahead and take a look at BookPoints. We're going to look at two different perspectives of BookPoints today. We're going to look at the administrator's side of things, and you can see here this is what the administrator screen looks like with this big orange "You're an administrator" warning, and our dashboard with charts and graphs and whatnot. And we're also going to take a look at the patron side of things. So the same website, just what it looks like from the patron's perspective. We've got our first question here. Can this be offered in Spanish? Yes, the first 2 years we did actually have a translation option. We didn't really have enough of a demand to keep it running. So what we have recommended recently for libraries that want to offer a bilingual option is to run 2 BookPoints side by side simultaneously, one in English, one in Spanish, and then any custom content that you add to one site in English, you'd add to the other site in Spanish. That's the easiest solution. Going forward, we've talked about reintroducing the multilingual feature as well, if there's a sustained demand for it going forward. So let's talk about what I mean. That's a great question, and it brings up a good point. BookPoints is not designed to be a cookie cutter, one size fits all piece of software. It's designed to be very customizable. The first thing I learned when working on BookPoints is that every library in America, even if it seems similar, their summer reading program is a little bit different than everybody else's. So there are common elements and common prizes throughout everyone's programs, but everyone's program is a little bit different. So BookPoints is designed to be flexible and accommodate any different type of program. So if you want to have a pre-reader program where the kids are earning prizes for every minute they read, and a teen program where the kids earn prizes for every chapter they read, or a kids program where they're tracking pages or minutes, or an adult program where they're just tracking the number of books in general, you can have any combination of those programs to support your existing needs here, okay? Even the color scheme and every graphic and every piece of text on the site can be customized. And you don't have to know HTML or CSS or JavaScript or any other acronym to customize the website. Even on our default site, we even say specifically on the welcome page, this default text, librarians can easily customize. Logo and graphics, font and text, color schemes, all of that can be customized easily. So I want to just stress that here, and I'll show you how various parts of this can be customized once we take a look at the administrator perspective a little later on. So here is our patron perspective. We're going to go ahead and sign up for summer reading. Again, here's just a simple create an account box, but you can customize that text as well. So even the sign up text is completely customizable. Okay, you can customize the sidebar text and put in specific instructions. One thing I'll note up here, this text is customizable as well. This is where we talk about family accounts and individual accounts. Very common question, so I'll beat you to it. We do offer family or household accounts. Funny story, the first year I wrote the first version of BookPoints by myself, I did not put in a family account option. So if you're a parent with 5 kids or a daycare teacher with 12 kids in your class and you're signing up for BookPoints, you had to have a separate username and password for each one of those readers. And those teachers and daycare teachers and parents quickly let me know that was a foolish oversight on my part. So we now have the family account model. So you can have an unlimited number of readers associated with one username. So if you're a parent, that's just one username to record here. So I'll go ahead and create a new username for our summer reading family here. And we'll be the patrons at example.com, and I'll put in a password here. Again, even these fields are customizable. By default, we ask for first name, last name, library card. You can remove any of these fields. You can make them required. You can make them optional. You can add help text. We can collect extra information, such as, what is your, you can make the favorite branch field say, what is your family's closest branch, something like that. So we'll go ahead and just put in a fake person here at the downtown branch. If you only have one branch in your library district, that field just gets removed completely. And we'll put in some fake numbers here. Even the terms of use or the legal terms are completely customizable. And here's where I'll always stress that I am a web developer and a library consultant. I'm not a lawyer. So you're going to want to check with your own management or your city or county attorney about any specific legal terms that apply to your library. So moving on here, let me get rid of my password icon. All right. At this point, we can now begin adding readers to our account. And again, you can have as many readers as you want. So if you're, again, a daycare teacher with 20 kids in your class, you can start adding them here. I'll go ahead and just put in a couple readers. I'll go ahead and put in a couple kids here. Pat Patron. Again, these fields are customizable. Instead of select the last grade completed, you can make that say, select the grade you're entering this fall. That's a pretty common request. Let's go ahead and put Pat, let's say he's 5, so he just finished, kindergarten, and he goes to Elm Elementary. I will recommend that you add all of your local schools ahead of time so that kids have to select from this list, or parents have to select from this list. Here's the reason. If you have John F. Kennedy Junior High School in your area, you're going to have people typing that in 20 different ways. Kennedy Junior High, Kennedy JHS, JFK Junior High School, etc. One of the coolest features about BookPoints is that we have reports at the end of the summer on how many kids attended from each school, each grade, etc. And if you have people typing in 20 different names for that school, those reports don't work as well. So instead, we recommend, if possible, that you preload all of your schools If you have them in a spreadsheet or even just a Word document, you can import those automatically into BookPoints so that people automatically select the correct school and don't misspell something or type it in incorrectly. So we'll go ahead and put Pat in here from Elm Elementary. And here are the programs. And you can see we've had a lot of demos this month. A lot of organizations are looking at BookPoints. We've got a few extra programs people have been setting up here. This text is, of course, customizable. You could put in a graphic or you know, an image or something to say, join this program, describe it, describe the prizes that people can win, etc. Before you ask, we do not provide a way to force people into a specific program based on their age. The reason for that is because it's too complex to handle exceptions. So if there's a kid of a certain age, but because of their abilities, they really should, or you know, the parent wants them to be in a different reading group, it's too complex to try to work around and make those exceptions. So instead, we make everybody just choose the appropriate group. So you'll want to describe each of your age group programs so people know what group to join. Now, here's where I want to point something out. Every library is different, okay? I'm a board member and a volunteer for my local library. It's very small. We have one full-time equivalent and our annual budget is $70,000, okay? I know what it's like to have a very small library and you don't have a lot of time to set up summer reading. So for those libraries, it's perfectly acceptable to just have one single program for the entire community. That's fine. Other libraries might offer two programs, just kids under 18, so that includes all kids and teens, and then adults. Other libraries have four programs, the traditional pre-reader, kids, teens, and adults. And then some larger libraries go even beyond that and have additional programs for certain populations. One library had 7 programs, the traditional 4 plus program for, I think, seniors, a program for ESL speakers in the ESL classes, and then a program just for the library staff themselves because they were having their own internal contest with it that year. Okay, so again, it's flexible. Each of these programs can be set up differently, and I always want to stress that if you are from a smaller library or you're just, you know, super overwhelmed with everything going on right now, you can just have one single program that works for everybody in your whole community. Okay, so just to show you the different programs, though, we're going to go ahead and put Pat in the kids program, and then we'll add one more reader just so you can see how that works. And let's give Pat a sister, Patricia, I guess. And let's go ahead and make her in the teen program. So 14 is what, is that like 9th grade? And she goes to Rock and Roll High School. Again, all those fields are customizable. All right, let's go ahead and put her in the fellow teens program with the teens. And we'll say, no, we don't want to add another reader. Okay, so we've signed up, we've created our account, we've added 2 readers, and now we're looking at what the program looks like for day-to-day usage by the patron. Let me show you the main features on the Reader Dashboard. And as we go through this, I'll show you how Pat or Patricia can advance through the summer reading program, and then we'll flip over to the administrator side and see what it looks like for a library staff person. Okay, again, I want to stress, if you have any questions, please jump into the chat, let me know. I'll be happy to answer those. Oh, Lauren asked a good question. Is there an app? No, this is a mobile friendly website. We investigated building an app and it's just too complex for most libraries to want to support if people have trouble downloading it, etc. So this is a mobile-friendly web app. If you look at this on a mobile phone, each of these widgets or blocks gets rearranged vertically down the page. Okay, so it is mobile-friendly. In some of our libraries, librarians have given us this data and told us up to 75% of patrons use a mobile device to access summer reading. So we definitely want to be mobile-friendly. When you test your summer reading program in the spring, and you make sure that after you've set it up that it works the way you want it to, I always encourage people to have one of your staff members test it on a phone and see what it's like, because again, for some of you, most of your patrons are going to be using a phone or other device to access it. So a couple things to note here. We have a reader selector. So again, you can select between multiple readers in the family. Everybody has their own log, a book log. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Oh, I put everybody in a, let me go ahead and add one more reader here. Let's go ahead and add Pete Patron. It'll be 8, so that's probably 3rd-ish grade. He goes to Elm Elementary. We're going to go ahead and add another program that has a different unit of measurement. So I want to show you that. Good. Now we've got Pete on here. I want to show you the difference in this first widget, the book log. When I've selected Pete and I'm looking at Pete's book log, you'll notice that there's a field here asking Pete how many minutes he read. Okay, Pete's in the pre-reader program, and we've said that they track how many minutes they read. Pat and Patricia, their book logs don't have the minutes field because they're in a program that just tracks how many books the kids read. So they're not entering every single time they read for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. They're only entering the book when it's completed. Again, you can have any possible unit you can think of for your program. So you can have your pre-readers track minutes, your kids track chapters, and your teens track pages, and your adults track books, and your senior citizens track days. And you can mix those all up, okay? Any combination of those. So when we're entering books for Pat, let's say he's really precocious, he's going to read some books with short titles. He read It, okay, all right. He earned 100 points for reading that book. Let's say he read 1984, again, very precocious kid here, okay? He earned another 100 points. So Pat's program earns 100 points for every book. Now I'm going to switch back to Pete. Remember, Pete's a little kid. He's in the pre-reader program. So when Pete reads his favorite book, his namesake, Pete the Cat, for 60 minutes, he clicks submit, and he gets 60 points. Okay, so these programs are different for different age groups. You don't have to use the same metric or the same scale for everybody. As I've been entering this, you might notice that we're seeing some congratulatory messages up here about how much the kids have read. And we're also earning our digital badges down here at the bottom. And again, you can have different awards and different messages for different programs. If I switch to Pat, you can see that he's earned these little gear icons, digital badges, and the Space Buff badge. Patricia has earned just the welcome badge from 2019. And Pete has earned the pre-reader badges 1 and 2, the 1-star and the 2-star. Okay, we've got some questions coming in here. Let me pause and answer those. Yes, Angela, we have an option for that for the none for adults, and the easiest solution for that is just typing that into the field, say select none for adults. Abby is asking, are point values adjustable? Yes, again, this is completely flexible and customizable. We use points because it's sort of a game system, and especially for the younger people, it's a system they're familiar with. The more points you earn, you progress and you earn badges and accomplishments. It's sort of like, you know, an Xbox or other system, you know, achievement system where they're earning things as they go through here. So you can harmonize your points. You could say like, all right, teens read 10 books, 100 points per book for a total of 1,000 points. And kids are going to read 50 chapters and get 20 points per chapter for a total of 1,000 points. And that way you can still say something on your posters like, earn 1,000 points by reading to earn the prize. And you can, you know, use that for marketing reasons. So they're completely independent and adjustable and customizable. And we talk about how to plan your program and how to set up your program and plan your point scale in our training materials. We include some worksheets where you can actually list out how many points people should get for books and things like that. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. So again, just by tracking their reading, whether it's minutes, books, chapters, pages, etc., in the system, kids earn points, and as they earn points, they progress and earn more badges. They can earn raffle tickets or drawing tickets. They can earn prizes, etc. Let's go ahead and let me advance Patricia through here through the teen program. I'll just have her enter Harry Potter books really quickly. Harry Potter 1, Harry Potter 2, 3. You can see she's earning 100 points per book, and there's little different messages each time that congratulate her and tell her to keep going. Wow, 500 points, that's incredible. Again, each of these are completely customizable. Mine aren't very creative, you know, you're an all-star. All right, here she goes. It says 700 points, just one more to go. She goes ahead and submits that. Okay, so now she sees a message that says she's earned a t-shirt, come to your branch to claim it. Okay, you'll notice there's a new little notice message here. It says you have at least one prize waiting, see your librarian. Okay, we have a prize inventory control system, and what that means is if a patron has earned a prize, they'll see a message that tells them to go pick up that prize in the library. A librarian will then confirm that the person has really earned the prize before handing it over, and that will prevent that patron from going to a different branch or coming back later in the day when someone else is on the desk and trying to get another prize. Now, not every library uses this system. Some libraries, I know, who did I talk to? Orange County, when they were setting up last year, they were just doing stickers. So every time a kid entered a book, the message would say, come by the library and get a sticker. And they didn't need to keep track of who had gotten stickers, right? Stickers are basically an endless supply in the sticker barrel at that point. But if you're giving away like a $10 coupon or a $10 gift card to iTunes or something, and some libraries have prizes that are even cooler than that, then it does, you know, at that point it does become important to track and make sure you're keeping tabs on who's getting the prizes and how many you have left in stock. So again, I just want to call that out to you, the prize inventory control system. Let's pause here and see what this looks like from the librarian's perspective, okay? I'm going to flip perspectives here. Now I'm in my librarian screen, and you can see I've got my big orange You're an Administrator warning. I can see that I've got a dashboard, and I can see how many people have entered reading this week, how many people in each program, how many people have signed up, etc. But right now, I'm going to put on my librarian hat. I'm going to be Larry Librarian, and little Patrick Patron comes up to the desk and says, hi, I'm doing summer reading, and it says that I want a prize. And I say, okay, well, let me find you in our reader system, little Patrick. So I'll click on Readers, and I say, hey, what's your last name, kid? He tells me it's Patron. I'm going to find him. Oh, let's say, who was it? Patricia, right? Patricia Patron. So I can look up her family profile and confirm her phone number, confirm her parents' name if I need to. But once I know it's her, I can come here and see that, yes, she has earned a library t-shirt. She has not claimed it. And if I click here, she can claim the t-shirt. So now you can see that she has claimed the t-shirt. I say, okay, Patricia, congratulations. I hand the t-shirt over. And now if I go back to her page, you can see that it's claimed. So she will now be unable to go to a different branch later today or next week and get another t-shirt. And again, I don't think you're going to have that much of a run on t-shirts, but when it's a $10, you know, iTunes gift card, that's something you do need to keep tabs on. Now, the next time Patricia goes to the website and enters another book, so she reads 1984. Oh, she did the bonus level. Way to go. But you'll notice that that prize notice is gone. It no longer tells her that she is due a prize and to go collect it. And back at the librarian side of things, as a librarian, I can now scroll down on my reports, and I can see down here in the prize summary that I now have one teen library t-shirt has been claimed. So if I have only a certain number of prizes, and it turns out they've almost all been claimed, I know I need to get some more, order some more iTunes gift cards or get some more pizza coupons or whatever the prize this year is going to be. Can you add date and initials to claim area? Patrice, that's a great question. We initially had not thought of that, but you're like the third person this year who's asked for a way to trace or track who is awarding prizes. So we do have a way, like the data is logged, but there's not an easy way to go back for you to see it. You'd have to ask me as an administrator to pull that data. But we might go ahead and make that a little easier. I honestly did not expect that we'd have to like go CSI and forensically investigate who's giving away prizes, but it turns out it's actually a useful feature. So good question, Patrice, and that's something we're investigating. So I just wanted to break away again and really quickly show you the prize inventory control system, since that's where the patron side of things and the librarian's day-to-day actions sort of interact, okay? Other than that, librarians don't really need to do a lot of work day-to-day supporting this. Redeeming a prize or giving a prize to a patron, that's something that happens. And the other thing I can think of is a patron comes in and says, oh, we forgot our password, can you tell us how to reset that? Because they don't want to go through the email reset process, so they'll just ask a librarian to reset it for them. So that's the bulk of what librarians do throughout the summer with this software. You know, other than that, the patrons pretty much interact with it on their own. So keep the questions coming. Just a couple other things I want to show you over here on the patron side of things. Over here on the right-hand side, we have secret codes and activities. Now, let me explain this. Secret codes and activities are for non-reading activities, although you could also make them reading related. And secret codes and activities are very similar with one big difference. Activities are on the honor system. Secret codes are not. And here's what I mean by that. Here's an example activity for a teen. Attended the Graphic Novel Festival. This presumes that someday this summer we'll all get together in person again. We'll see. Some libraries might say, you know what? If somebody says they attended the Graphic Novel Festival, let them go ahead and click that claim button and claim those points and that badge, okay? Other libraries might say, no, we want to only give out those points or that badge to people that we know attended. So if you want recognition for attending that graphic novel festival, you have to attend and get the secret code that we distribute, okay? So activities are on the honor system. People can say they did an activity and they'll get however many points or badges or raffle tickets or whatever that you allocated. Secret codes are not on the honor system. A library staff person has to actually give a patron a secret code to enter it before they can get those points. Okay, so I don't know if Harriet the Spy works for teenagers. That might just work for elementary. Nope. Did I put in James Bond for the teens? Oh, looks like I didn't put in any secret codes for this teen program here. Let me go over to Patrick, because I know Harriet the Spy should work for the kids program. There we go, secret code accepted, congratulations. So Patrick just got an extra 20 points or something. So again, these activities on the honor system, secret codes have to be distributed. The classic example of a secret code is giving them out at story time. So if you want all the badges this year, you have to go to every story time. We'll give out a code every story time, and you redeem that code for a badge. But I've also seen some other cool ideas. You could print out the secret code and just put them in a library book, so the kids just find them when they check out a book and read it. It says enter this code for 20 extra summer reading points or something like that. One library in Virginia had talked about coordinating with their local museum. So at some point in the summer, the kids have to go to the museum and get the secret code from the museum and enter it to get every badge. So there's a lot of cool ideas you can use for secret codes and activities as well. Of course, a lot of that is predicated on us being able to meet in person. So you might have to do some innovative ideas for that. Like if you have a dial a story hotline for your library, you know, you could say like, call dial a story and get the secret code at the end of this week's story, something like that. We've got a couple questions going on here. Can you have multiple secret codes going on at once? Yes. So each program can have an unlimited number of secret codes. And secret codes, you could give them out one per person, or you could make a code that everybody can use. Like Harriet the Spy is a code everybody can use. So if you do a story time and you talk about Harriet the Spy, you could put that code on the wall or just give it to people. So good question. D asks, how does this platform work for a system with 6 independent libraries? Could each library have their own page? So every library system needs its own site. Like there's multiple ways to structure this. We've actually worked with consortia before about setting this up in different ways so that some elements are common, but they also have some flexibility. So D, you might want to hit us up via email and talk about the specifics for that. Again, if you're downloading and running the open source version of this, you can install it and configure it any way you want. For our hosting version, we have to be able to support your staff on how you set it up. So if you have 6 different libraries that all want to use this, but they all want to do something completely differently, then we'd probably give them each their own site, but we could definitely go ahead and talk about a hosting discount for something like that. So D, yes, every library can have their own page depending on how you want to structure it. And for details, feel free to hit me up after. I can go into more detail during the Q&A session. Good question, good question. One thing I want to stress about secret code and activities before we move on, libraries fall into 2 camps about how this should work. Some libraries say non-reading activities should not count toward the summer reading goals. So they'll still have activities and codes, but they will not award any points. They'll only give the kids a badge, okay? Like here, listen to an audiobook and get the audio file badge, but you don't get any points. Other libraries say, you know what? Let's make the activities worth something equivalent to reading. So the kids could get the equivalent of a chapter or 20 pages worth of points by doing an activity or secret code. So you can choose either model. Some libraries I found are really strict about that and say, no, if you want the prize, it has to all come from reading. And that's cool, whatever you want to do. Other libraries say, no, we'll award 20 points per activity. And so that way, if you do all 5 activities, it's the equivalent of 1 book. And you can skip 1 book this year. Completely up to you how you want to do that. So we've got some other questions coming in. Can a reader see the previous books they have submitted? Yes, we have a reading log option so that the kids can print this out and take it to school. I didn't know that was not a thing when I went to school, but now I guess kids have to bring in a list of all the books they read this summer. I will point out though that especially for pre-readers, if you have a program that tracks minutes or pages or chapters, the book log is optional. And here's what I mean. If you're the parent of a pre-reader and you're supposed to track how many minutes you read, and you read for 30 minutes today, so you enter 30 minutes, that's great. But if you read Pete the Cat 15 times in that 30-minute period, you don't want to enter Pete the Cat and type that in 15 times. And hey, I'm speaking as someone who has read Pete the Cat 15 times in one single day. I think a lot of us have done that before, right? So you don't have to enter the title every time. So, but for kids who are tracking book titles, yes, there's a reading log, so they can print that out and take that to school. We have a couple other features up here that I'll talk about toward the end of the session. I want to keep us moving here. Barbara's asking, how about patrons without access to BookPoints? That's a fantastic question. I'm always been a big digital divide person, always want to be aware of that. Let's talk about what that might look like. And Barbara, that's actually a good segue. We've looked at pretty much every feature on the Reader Dashboard here, logging our reading, doing non-reading activities, seeing our badges, etc. Let's flip to the administrator side and see what things look like from an administrator. Now I'm back on the library side of things, and I want to point something out here. For BookPoints, we have 2 different types of staff accounts. We have the administrator who logs in during the spring, and they set up the programs, and they decide what all the activities are going to be, and they come up with the creative secret codes, and they decide which badges go for which programs and how many books you have to read to get the super reader badge and stuff like that. Okay, that's only going to be a few of your staff. In most libraries, that is either one person or just 2 or 3 people on the summer reading team that actually set up your BookPoints website. Okay, so for these people, we give them the setup menu, and they can add staff accounts, they can add schools or prizes, they can add their activities and secret codes, and they can even customize the site and put in custom text and change the design of the site, right? And they can go to the footer and put custom stuff in the footer on every page. Most of your staff don't need to know how to do this. Only 1 to 4 people at every library system need to participate in the spring and set up your program. So we call these people setup administrators because they're in charge of setting up the site in the spring for the rest of their staff, okay? The rest of your staff that just use the website in the summertime, they have a lot less stuff to do here. There's only a certain number of things we even allow those people to do. So I already showed you one of those things. They can go in the reader menu and award a prize when Patricia comes in and says she has earned a t-shirt. That's the most common thing a staff person would do. The second most common would be to look up a username and reset a password for a user. Or somebody comes in and says, oh, you know what? We don't even remember what email address we used to sign up. Okay. The other big thing a librarian would do, here's drawings and raffles, and we'll get to drawings and raffles in a minute. But the other thing pertains to Barbara's question, and that is this paper entries option. Many BookPoints libraries still want to do paper logs for those patrons that don't have access to a device or to internet access at home to use BookPoints. So we have a feature where your staff can get all of the completed paper logs at the end of the summer and manually enter them into the system. So the patron still gets to use a paper log, and the library still gets to collect that data and show it on the BookPoints reporting system. So you can still use your BookPoints reports and put those in Excel and the charts and the graphs and all that stuff, even with paper logging. Now, I'll be honest, at first, the first year we did not make this feature because I could not conceive of that being needed, that library staff would actually do this. But it turns out the BookPoints reporting is useful enough that it makes sense to have the librarians enter this data. So again, I would not want to be the staff person or the page that is responsible for this, but if you have 1,000 completed paper logs, you can add a new reader for each one. And if you've collected their age or their school info, like if you have those fields on your paper log, you can type them in here. So this paper form is from a 10-year-old in the 3rd grade at Kennedy Elementary School, and they're in the kids program, and they read 8 books this summer. Submit. Now, they will show up in the system just like anybody else, having read 8 books. So then when you go to reports at the end of the summer, and you look at how many books were read and how many kids read, that paper user is in the electronic system. So, Barbara, does that answer your question? Does that show you how we account for those hybrid programs where paper logs can still be entered into this? Does anyone else have questions about that paper entry screen? Again, this is used at the end of the summer. You'd go ahead and just make a new person. Oh, Megan asked a good point. Yes, some libraries do this. Some libraries create the new accounts at the beginning of the summer, and then you can go back and just find that person later. So if I don't create a new reader ID, if I know that I created an account for Patrick Patron back in early June, I can find him in here and enter his books that way. And now there's going to be 8 more books in the kids program. And you can see, I need to fix this. You can see that it does show all the messages at once, but the library staff person can now go ahead and enter the next reader. Angela asked another related question. Well, Megan, let me make sure that answers your question. Please let me know if you have any other questions related to that. Angela wants to make sure those people are still included in the raffles. Yes, they are. technically they're still awarded badges and prizes too. So you can still account for them in prize inventory control as well. So as they hand in the paper log, you go ahead and mark that they completed the prize. I told you I'd come back to raffles. Let's look at that real quick. I know we're getting short on time. It's also funny, some parts of the country call these drawings, some people call them raffles. And I'd love to do a study on who calls them what, but that's for another time. I mentioned that when you award prizes or badges for reading or other activities, you can also award raffle tickets or drawing tickets. And here's what it looks like on the draw a winner screen. If you want to, you can leave all of these fields blank and just click the draw winner button. And that's the equivalent of picking somebody out of one big drum that everybody's name is in, okay? But you can also filter and only pick raffle tickets for people that earned a ticket within the last week. So only people from the 15th to the beginning of the 22nd. And let's go ahead and draw it down further. Let's say only people in the pre-reader program. And then you could even filter it further and say only draw from tickets that were earned from people who go to one of these branches. So you can have any combination of how this works here. So again, you can do a weekly raffle ticket for the whole system, weekly by branch, weekly by program, monthly by branch, or just one big drawing at the end of the summer. And then you can reset and go on and do some more. Let's look at a couple other setup things real quick. I talked about, for instance, we want you to add your schools beforehand so that people can choose from those schools. So if you wanted to add a school, you come here and click on Add School. Obviously, you don't want to do that 1,000 times if you're in a really large city. So you can also use our Import from Spreadsheet tool down here to import a list of school. And that also works for badges, branches, etc. I want to show you how the programs are set up. I know we've only got a little bit of time left here. Remember when we signed up as readers and we selected our program, and I said you can have different programs and each one can be different. Let's see what these programs look like behind the scenes. Let's look at the Teens program because you saw me complete the Teens program as Patricia. So let's look and see what this looks like behind the scenes. When we set up BookPoints, we decide what each reading achievement is worth. And then for each of these levels of achievement, as they go up this ladder, we can award them one or more prizes, one or more drawing tickets, and one or more badges. So let's break this down and let me go through and show you how this program works. Everybody starts off with 0 points, of course, but you know what? We're going to go ahead and give everybody who starts off the example badge, just to give them a free badge, just to get them started and say, hey, thanks for signing up, folks, okay? When the teens read their first book, they've earned 100 points, and we're going to give them teen badge number 1. Okay, you can see where this is going. When they read book number 2, they've earned 200 points, and they earn teen badge number 2, so on and so on. When they get to book number 8 and they've read 800 books, we say they've earned the library t-shirt prize, and you all saw Patricia earn this, and you saw me put on my Larry Librarian hat and give it to her. And we also award teen badge number 8. And for this program, we made it a little weird. We said there's a bonus level when you read your 9th book, 900 points, and we give them a raffle ticket. And then we give them another badge. And then we said there's a secret bonus level if they read 12 books, where we give them another prize, and then we gave them 5 bonus raffle tickets for the end of the summer raffle. Okay, so you can do any combination of any of these activities or any of these levels for all of your programs. Okay, it's the sky's the limit here. Most libraries keep it simple and they base it off their existing reading program or paper reading program. So read 10 books, get 10 badges. After your 10th book, you get a raffle ticket and a prize. That's, you know, a pretty standard reading program. Some libraries take it to the next level and say, you know what, we're going to give you a different custom digital badge after every single book you read. And one library did that up to 65 books. So they uploaded all their badges and they added 65 levels and said 100, 200, 300, all the way up to 6,500 points. And they had a different badge for every one. and they had a different congratulatory message for everyone, okay? We could add another level here just so you can see what that looks like. You know, bonus level 2, we'll say if they read 20 books, that's 2,000 points. Wow, you read 20 books this summer. Amazing. And we can give them a prize. I think, do I have the pizza coupon still? We'll give them sample prize 2, and we can give them a special badge. And then we can give them 20 bonus raffle tickets. And then please ignore that thing that says ignore that I was supposed to remove. And now you saw how easy it is to add a level. Okay, so now we've got some questions flooding in about the setup stuff. Let me start to answer these. If you have multiple raffle prizes, is there a way for patrons to choose which raffle prize they'd like? No, unfortunately. But you can draw the raffle prizes for any type of prize. One way you could get around this, Megan, is you could just add a custom field to the sign-up form that says which raffle prize they'd like to be considered, and then we could add that as a filter on your raffle drawing page. So you could just say, all right, now we're drawing for people in the iPad giveaway, and now we're drawing for people in the Galaxy tablet giveaway, something like that. Abby asks if you can earn tickets for activities. I believe so. I can double check on that. If not, I'll make sure that you can. Paige asks, we award prizes based on the difficulty of the book, so readers might be logging books that would earn different amounts of points. Paige, I'd love to learn more about how that works right now. I'm not sure. I mean, right now, like the system just says, okay, for the kids, if they read a book, they read a book. There's no way to distinguish how complex a book is to award different amounts of points. So Paige, I'd love to learn more about that. That's actually a new model that I'm not familiar with. So I'm happy to talk about that after the call or via email and discuss how we would customize that for that program. Or if you want to just type in more detail in chat, I'm happy to stick around after the top of the hour and talk about that some more. Okay, we've got some good questions coming in. Remember, all of that stuff like setting up a program and adding the levels and the badges and all that, that's only for the setup period. That's only for the few of you that have to do setup in the spring, okay? So remember, you don't have to train all your day-to-day library staff how to do this. Only a few of you, or in some cases, only one person at each library needs to learn how to set it up. So again, all of these forms look pretty similar. Here's where you add the prizes that you're going to give away this year. So an iPad, or excuse me, an iTunes gift card, or a gift certificate for Big Al's Pizza Restaurant or whatever. Here's where you add those prizes. We've only got about 10 minutes left. I do want to show you a couple other things. If you want to add secret codes, here's where we add the Harriet the Spy code. We added Harriet the Spy, and we said that here's the badge she gets for that. And we can say how many points that people get for the badges, or for these codes and activities as well. I mentioned earlier that absolutely every aspect of BookPoints is customizable. If you have a webmaster or a web designer on your library staff, congratulations, most libraries don't. And they can take this software and use all the built-in developer and designer tools and do some really cool things. Most of us, though, don't have a web designer on our library staff. So we wanted to make this as customizable as possible, even for people that don't know HTML or CSS or anything like that. So I clicked on Design Customization, and there's a few basic things we can do that can really drastically change how the site looks, such as rearranging the sidebars, for instance. We offer complete font control, so you can change the font and appearance of the font, like the typography, for every bit of text on the site. Wherever there's text, you can change the font and how that appears. So up here, where I have Summer Reading 2020 in blue and orange, that's a Google font, a custom Google font that's like a comic book font or something. And then down below that, where I have Anytown Public Library, that's a Google font that kind of looks like the font that was on my Little League uniform back in elementary school, kind of like that cursive look, right? If your library's web designer says, oh, we use so-and-so font for all of our websites, then you can put in that specific font. Okay, type it in here. You control the size, etc. for all your different fonts, menus, etc. Down here, you can choose a color scheme, or you can change the color of absolutely every little bit of space on the website. So remember that slogan, Anytown Public Library is bright blue? Here's where we change that bright blue. Here's where we change underlines and hovers and just the text on the page. Here's where we change block title. Again, all of this is customizable. If your web designer says, oh, I have a specific color I'd like to use for each of these, great, they can type those in there. Or you can just come over here and pick a color that you think looks good. You know, oh, I like that shade of purple. Boom, purple. Okay. And then even changing the logo. Okay, you can upload a custom logo. Most years we offer a template logo that you can then open in Canva or Google Drawing and put your own library's name over the top of it, like superimpose your library's name. We're very grateful to iRead from the Illinois Library Association. If you're an iRead library, every year they release their graphics to us early, and they let us have iRead themed graphics and badges. So if you use iRead for your summer reading materials, your website can match your posters and pencils and pencil boxes and stuff. Unfortunately, CSLP has not agreed to collaborate with us, despite a few attempts of working with them. So if you're a CSLP library, you'll need to get their graphics and add them yourself to your summer reading website. Any questions about the design, customization, and some of the different changes you can make? I'm always really impressed in the summer when I go through everybody's websites and people have customized it, put in their own logo, their own graphics, you know, their own images of their summer reading kickoff party, and their own color schemes. And it's just like a cool rainbow of sites by the time mid-June rolls around. Other questions about customization? Okay, let me go back then. We've got about 5 minutes left. I mentioned changing the text on the site. So any bit of text on any of the sign-up pages, you can click here and customize that appropriate text. If you want to change the terms and conditions on the sign-up page, etc., all that stuff changeable. Real quick, I'll mention we have a couple other features that are very, very simple, bare bones features, and you don't have to use them. But here's why they're here. For example, the event calendar. You can add things like story times and the summer reading kickoff party and the summer reading pizza party, things like that. If your library already has a website event calendar, great. Don't use this. In fact, we'll point the events in your calendar or in your book points to your existing calendar. Okay? But if you don't have an event calendar, this is a feature that you can use. Same thing for the photo gallery. This is a really simple photo gallery where librarians can upload photos and have them appear on the website. So if you want to do that feature where you have the kids take a picture holding their favorite book and they like say a few sentences about their favorite book, well, look, if your library already has a social media page or a Flickr account or something, or a space on your existing website for that, great, you can use that. But many libraries don't have that capability, especially smaller libraries. So this provides a really easy way for the library staff just to upload a few pictures and kids can go see those pictures later. Okay, same thing for book review. Kids can come here and they can submit a book review. Later on, librarians can review those book reviews and then put them on Facebook or put them on the main library website, print them out, hang them in the library. Again, it's a really simple bare bones feature, but if you don't already have that capability, if you don't already have a social media account or something, libraries can use these, and then some libraries do. So I've tried to race through and show you all of the features and all the capabilities of BookPoints as much as I can over the last 57 minutes. I know there's a lot there. BookPoints is pretty full featured, and that's because we've tried to make it as useful as possible for as many libraries as possible. That said, I'm happy to spend as much time as necessary answering questions for people. If you don't want to ask your question in chat, feel free to contact us via the BookPoints website. You can submit a question to us via email. We do offer, again, for those of you that want to host with us, real quick, I'll mention that our 2020 pricing is available. sliding scale starting at $1,000 a year, and that includes everything: hosting, training, and tech support through the entire summer. $1,000 for smaller libraries. We do offer support Monday through Saturday, and we're on call on Sundays. So if you're a Saturday librarian and you're worried you won't be able to get help, if you have a question about BookPoints, have no fear, we're available. Oh boy, all sorts of questions coming in here. So Abby's question, to implement this, do you upload code to your current web page host? Yes, if you're gonna run it yourself, you'll go to the download version, download page, you'll download it and install it to your web server. And we have some instructions for that, but I will say, if you've never run your own web server software before, maybe don't try it with your summer reading program. You know, we definitely encourage you to have some experience with web servers if you're gonna run your own web server. And if you do that option, we do offer paid support options for that as well. Angela asks about social media sharing. We don't provide social media integration by default, and that was by request from some of our original partners, very privacy conscious. As a privacy protective person, I agree with that. If you want to include your own social media widget code in the footer of the page, or include it as a block on the home page, of course you can do that. But by default, we don't include any social media integration code in BookPoints. So there's no, so sort of out of the box, there's no privacy risks with third-party tools. Scott asks, if you want to host with us, how soon do you need to decide? Good question. It takes us about 2 to 3 days to set up your site and give it to you. And then it will take you anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks to customize and configure your site. Okay, so for instance, if you signed up today, it's Wednesday, I would give you your site, you know, scottslibrary.bookpoints.org Friday, and you could start configuring it. And you'd come to the documentation here, and you start going through the documentation step by step. Do you want to customize the reader sign-up form? Okay, here's how to do that. Then you start planning your program, okay? If you have a really simple program, one program for the whole community, 10 levels, 10 badges, that's it, you're gonna be done in an hour or less. If you have complicated programs, like you're that library that wants to upload 60 custom badges, and you're gonna have a little custom congratulations message for all 60 levels, and you're gonna upload 20 custom images and graphics and 50 different activities, obviously you're not gonna get all that done in a day. You know, that's where it can take longer. For first-time libraries, I always tell them the minimum you can get away with spending is about a day total over the course of your spring. So several hours. You'll want to spend 1 to 2 hours reading through the documentation, 1 to 2 hours doing setup, 1 to 2 hours training your colleagues on their day-to-day usage of the software, and then 1 to 2 hours of support time with me or with one of my teammates. So that's sort of the bare minimum. On the other hand, I know there are libraries, they have 5 youth services people, and all they do is work on setting up BookPoints for a whole month. And again, that's super cool. If you can afford to do that, more power to you. And they have some really amazing, complex summer reading programs that are way beyond what we ever envisioned. But they do put the time in. But you don't have to. Again, I told you that I know what it's like to volunteer or work for a very small library. And we have BookPoints librarians where it's just one person doing the setup and all the administration, and they have one program for the whole community. And I know she gets that set up in less than a day. So it's really up to you. One thing I will stress is that we consistently get good ratings on our support team. And as the leader of that support team, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit there. We pride ourselves on the support we offer our libraries. Again, Monday through Saturday, on call on Sundays as needed, April through October. So if you are freaking out Memorial Day weekend and you don't think you're going to get it done, give us a call and we can help you get up and running. So let's see if there's other questions here. All right, Scott, let me know if that answered your question. Angela says she's good. Other questions I can answer for everybody? Okay,